My daughter gave my house to her in-laws and told me, "It's theirs now, you're not allowed here." The ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and sunscreen through the open windows of my father's beach house. My beach house, as I stood on the weathered front porch with my suitcase in hand. My daughter Brittany blocked the doorway, her arms crossed, her face twisted into an expression I'd never seen before. Behind her, my son-in-law Trevor smirked, his phone in his hand like he was ready to call someone. "Mom, I already told you on the phone," Brittany said, her voice sharp and cold. "This house belongs to Trevor's parents now. We signed the papers last week. You're not allowed here anymore." I felt the words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you talking about? This is my house. My father left it to me when he died." Trevor stepped forward, and I could smell the expensive cologne he always wore. "Actually, Mrs. Sullivan, according to the power of attorney you signed when you were sick last year, Brittany had the legal right to make decisions about your property, and we decided the best thing was to transfer ownership to my parents. They've always wanted a beach house, and frankly, you're too old to maintain this place." Too old? The words barely came out as a whisper. Brittany's eyes, my daughter's eyes, the same ones I'd looked into when she was born 42 years ago, were ice cold. "Mom, be realistic. You're 71. You can barely walk up the stairs. This house is wasted on you. Trevor's parents will actually use it, and they have the money to keep it in good condition." "You should be grateful we're taking this burden off your hands." "Burden?" My hands were shaking. "This house has been in our family for 40 years. Your grandfather bought it with his life savings. I spent every summer here with you when you were little. Don't you remember?" "What I remember," Trevor interrupted, his voice dripping with condescension, "is that you've been sitting on a property worth $850,000 while living in that tiny apartment, being stubborn about selling it. Well, now it's not your decision anymore. My parents paid us $400,000 for the transfer, which was more than generous considering the condition this place is in." The world seemed to tilt. $400,000? You sold my house for less than half its value? Brittany rolled her eyes. "God, Mom, stop being so dramatic. You don't understand real estate. Besides, what did you expect? That we'd just let you hold on to this valuable property while you collect your little pension and complain about money? Trevor and I have 2 kids to put through college. We have expenses. You're just one old woman who doesn't even need a beach house." "I need my home," I said, my voice breaking. "I need the place my father gave me. I need—" "What you need," Trevor cut me off, "is to accept reality. You're not allowed on this property anymore. My parents are arriving tomorrow, and if you're still here, I'll call the police for trespassing." I looked at my daughter, at this stranger wearing my daughter's face, and tried one more time. "Brittany, please, you're my only child. I raised you by myself after your father left. I worked 2 jobs to put you through college. I gave you everything. How can you do this to me?" She actually laughed. It was a cold, brittle sound that made my heart crack. "That's exactly the problem, Mom. You keep throwing that in my face. I sacrificed for you. I worked so hard for you." "Well, guess what? I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask you to stay in that dead-end job for 30 years. Those were your choices, and now it's time for me to make mine. Trevor and I deserve this house more than you do. His parents deserve it. They've actually built something with their lives. And I haven't?" The tears were streaming down my face now. "I built a home. I built a life for you. I kept my father's house so you could bring your children here, so they could build sandcastles the way you did, so we could have another obligation?" Trevor scoffed. "Another old house to maintain while you guilt-trip us about family memories? No thanks. My parents are already talking about renovating the whole place. It'll actually be worth something when they're done with it." Brittany picked up my suitcase and literally pushed it into my hands. "You need to go, Mom. I've already arranged for your apartment key to be under the doormat. That's where you belong now. In that little apartment in the city, with your little pension, living your little life. Stop trying to pretend you're still relevant." I'm your mother." "You're a burden," Brittany said flatly. "And we're done carrying you." Trevor put his hand on the door. "I'm giving you 60 seconds to get off this property, Mrs. Sullivan. 59, 58. I stood there, frozen, as my son-in-law counted down like I was a stranger, like I was nothing. At 30, I finally turned and walked to my old Honda in the driveway. The same Honda I'd bought used 15 years ago because I was saving money to help Brittany with her wedding. The same Honda that Trevor had once laughed at, calling it a grandma car. As I drove away, watching the beach house, my father's house, my memories, disappear in the rearview mirror, I felt something shift inside me. The crying stopped, my hands stopped shaking, and I thought about the letter in my purse, the one from my lawyer that I'd picked up just yesterday, the one that Brittany and Trevor didn't know about, because what they didn't know was that I had already been planning. They didn't know that this 71-year-old woman had one more card to play. And they definitely didn't know that their dream of a perfect beach house vacation was about to become a nightmare they'd never forget. 2 months earlier, the morning sun was just starting to warm the sidewalk when I met Ruth at our usual spot in Riverside Park. We'd been walking together every morning for 5 years now, ever since her husband passed and I retired from the elementary school where I'd been a secretary for 33 years. "You're quiet today, Evelyn," Ruth said, adjusting her sun hat. She was 74, 3 years older than me, but she walked faster than women half her age. "What's on your mind?" I hesitated, then pulled out my phone. "Brittany sent me a text last night. Look at this." Ruth squinted at the screen, reading aloud. "Mom, Trevor and I need to talk to you about your finances. We're concerned about your future. Can we meet this weekend?" She looked up at me. "What's wrong with that? Sounds like she cares." "That's the third message like this in 2 weeks," I said. "And Ruth, she hasn't called me just to chat in 4 months. Not since Emma's birthday party, and even then she spent the whole time on her phone." Ruth handed back my phone with a knowing look. "Has she asked about the beach house lately?" I nodded. "That's what worries me. 2 months ago, Trevor mentioned that his parents were looking for a vacation property. Last month, Brittany asked me if I'd ever considered selling Dad's house since I barely use it anymore. Which isn't even true. I was just there in June." "What did you say?" "I told her the house would be hers someday, but while I'm alive, it stays in the family." She got this look on her face, Ruth, this calculating look. "And Trevor actually said, 'That's a shame. Real estate in that area is going through the roof. You could probably get $800,000 for it.'" Ruth stopped walking. "Evelyn, you need to be careful. My niece is a paralegal, and she's seen families torn apart over property. Has Brittany ever asked you to sign anything?" The memory hit me like cold water. Last year, when I had pneumonia and was in the hospital, she brought some papers and said it was just in case something happened to me so she could make medical decisions. A power of attorney. I was so sick, and she kept saying it was standard, that everyone does it. "Did you read it carefully?" I felt my stomach drop. I trusted her. She's my daughter." Ruth grabbed my arm. "Evelyn, listen to me. You need to talk to a lawyer. Today. Not next week, not when you feel like it. Today." That afternoon, I sat in the office of Mitchell Chen, the estate attorney that Ruth's niece had recommended. He was a young man, maybe 40, with kind eyes and a patient way of explaining things. "Mrs. Sullivan," he said after reviewing the power of attorney document I'd brought, "this isn't just for medical decisions. This is a general, durable power of attorney. Your daughter has the legal authority to make financial decisions on your behalf, including selling or transferring property." The room felt too warm. "But I'm not incapacitated. I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs." That's actually irrelevant with this type of document. It remains in effect whether you're capable or not. That's what durable means. He leaned forward. "Mrs. Sullivan, I'm going to be frank with you. In my 15 years of practice, I've seen this scenario more times than I'd like to admit. An adult child convinces an elderly parent to sign a power of attorney just in case, then uses it to gain control of assets. But Brittany wouldn't. Maybe she wouldn't, he interrupted gently. But you need to protect yourself regardless. Can you tell me about your assets? I listed them. My pension of $2,400 a month, my savings account with $47,000, and the beach house valued at approximately $850,000. Mr. Chen did some quick calculations. So your daughter currently has legal authority over assets worth nearly $900,000. Mrs. Sullivan, I strongly recommend you revoke this power of attorney immediately. We can file the revocation today. Will Brittany know? You should inform her, yes. It's the ethical thing to do. I thought about the cold distance in Brittany's recent calls, the way Trevor looked at the beach house like he was appraising it. What if I don't tell her right away? What if I want to see what she does? Mr. Chen frowned. I can't advise you to do that. But I can tell you that if you revoke the power of attorney now, any actions she takes after the revocation date would be invalid. Even if she doesn't know it's been revoked? Even then, the revocation is effective immediately upon filing, regardless of whether the other party has been notified. I made my decision. File it today, but I won't tell Brittany yet. I want to see if my daughter really is planning what I think she's planning. Mr. Chen looked uncomfortable but nodded. I'll file it this afternoon. Mrs. Sullivan, I'd also recommend documenting everything. Keep a journal, save texts and emails. Record conversations if you're in a one-party consent state, which Texas is. Record my own daughter? If she's planning to steal from you, yes. The word steal hung in the air between us. I paid Mr. Chen's $500 retainer fee and walked out of his office feeling like I'd entered a different world, one where mothers had to protect themselves from their own children. That evening, I sat in my small apartment, the one Brittany had called little with such contempt, and looked through old photo albums. Brittany at 3, building sandcastles at the beach house. Brittany at 8, learning to swim in those same waves. Brittany at 16, bringing her first boyfriend to meet my parents at the beach house before Dad died. I'd given her everything. After her father left when she was 6, I'd worked as a secretary during the day and cleaned offices at night to keep us afloat. I'd saved for years to help with her wedding, a $35,000 affair that Trevor's parents had criticized as modest. I'd babysat Emma and Noah, my grandchildren, every weekend for their first 3 years, so Brittany and Trevor could have couple time. And now she was going to steal my father's house. My phone buzzed. A text from Brittany. Mom, we really need to meet this weekend. It's important. I texted back. Of course, honey. Your place or mine? Ours. Saturday at 2 p.m. Trevor's parents will be there too. We all need to talk. My hands were shaking as I typed. I'll be there. Then I opened a new note on my phone and started documenting everything, just like Mr. Chen had said. The date, the time, the exact words. This was the beginning of my evidence file. Saturday came too quickly. I dressed carefully in the blue cardigan Brittany had given me for my birthday 3 years ago, hoping it might remind her of better times. Trevor and Brittany's house was in an expensive suburb, a 4-bedroom colonial that Trevor constantly complained wasn't big enough. Brittany opened the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Hi, Mom. Come in. The living room was full. Trevor stood by the fireplace. His parents, Donald and Patricia Hartwell, sat on the couch, looking uncomfortable. Emma and Noah were nowhere to be seen. Where are my grandchildren? I asked. At a friend's house, Brittany said quickly. This is adult conversation. Donald Hartwell cleared his throat. Mrs. Sullivan, please have a seat. We've asked you here because we're all concerned about your living situation. I sat down slowly. My living situation? I live in a perfectly nice apartment. Patricia leaned forward. She was wearing a designer outfit that probably cost more than my monthly pension. "Evelyn, may I call you Evelyn? We've been talking with Brittany and Trevor about your future. You're not getting any younger, and that apartment of yours, well, it's quite small, and the beach house sitting empty most of the year, it's just not practical." "The beach house is my home," I said quietly. Trevor jumped in. "That's the thing, Mrs. Sullivan. It's not really practical as a home, is it? You live here in Dallas. The beach house is 3 hours away. You maybe go there once a month? Meanwhile, you're paying property taxes, insurance, maintenance. It's a money pit." "It's my father's legacy." "It's a piece of real estate," Donald said bluntly. "And according to the property records, it's worth approximately $850,000. That's a significant asset that's not working for you." I looked at my daughter. "Brittany, what is this really about?" She glanced at Trevor, then back at me. "Mom, we've been thinking. You're 71. You should be enjoying your retirement, not worrying about property maintenance. And Donald and Patricia have always dreamed of having a beach house. They're willing to buy it from you. Well, not exactly buy it, but take over the expenses in exchange for ownership. You'd still be able to visit, of course. You want me to give them my house?" "Not give," Trevor said quickly. "It would be a transfer of ownership with financial compensation. We're thinking $400,000, which is more than fair considering the house needs work." $400,000 for an $850,000 property? Donald waved his hand dismissively. "The comps I've looked at suggest $850,000 is optimistic. $400,000 is generous, especially with the foundation issues." "There are no foundation issues," I said, my voice rising. "That house has been maintained perfectly. My father was a contractor. He built that addition himself." "Mom, please don't get emotional," Brittany said in that condescending tone I was learning to hate. "We're trying to help you. Think about it. $400,000 in your bank account. You could upgrade to a nicer apartment, take some trips, buy yourself nice things. Isn't that better than holding onto an old house for sentimental reasons?" I stood up. "I need to think about this." "What's to think about?" Trevor's voice had an edge now. "It's a generous offer. My parents are being very patient, but they won't wait forever." "Then they'll have to wait forever," I said, "because I'm not selling my father's house." The room went silent. Then Brittany's face transformed into something ugly. "Mom, be reasonable. You're being selfish. We're trying to help you, and you're too stubborn to see it." "I see it perfectly clearly," I said. "Your in-laws want my property at half price, and you're helping them get it. The answer is no." I walked out of that house with my head held high, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely get my key in the car door. As I drove away, I saw Trevor on his phone, and I just knew, they were planning something. That night, I called Mr. Chen. They tried to pressure me into selling. They had Trevor's parents there as witnesses, making it seem like a family decision. "Did you record it?" "No, I forgot. I was too shocked." "Mrs. Sullivan, from now on, every interaction with your daughter needs to be documented. Can you do that?" Yes, I can." "Good, because I have a feeling this is just the beginning." He was right. Over the next 2 weeks, Brittany called me 6 times. Each conversation followed the same pattern: concern about my age, worry about the beach house maintenance, Trevor's parents' generous offer. Each time, I politely declined. Each time, I recorded the conversation on my phone. Then came the text messages. Brittany started copying Trevor on everything, creating a paper trail. "Mom, we've scheduled a home inspection for the beach house. The inspector found termite damage. You need to deal with this. It's going to cost at least $30,000 to fix." I called my own inspector, a man my father had used for years. He found no termite damage. "Someone's been trying to scare you, Mrs. Sullivan. This house is solid." I documented everything: the false termite report, the pressure tactics, the increasing hostility in Brittany's messages. And then, 3 weeks after that meeting at her house, Brittany sent me a message that changed everything. "Mom, I need you to meet me at the county clerk's office tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to transfer the beach house deed to Donald and Patricia. I've already started the paperwork using your power of attorney. This is happening whether you like it or not." I sat in my apartment, reading that message over and over. My own daughter, the baby girl I'd rocked to sleep every night. The child I'd sacrificed everything for. She was stealing from me. I called Mr. Chen. "She's going to try to transfer the deed tomorrow." "She can't. You revoked the power of attorney 6 weeks ago. Any paperwork she files will be invalid." "Should I tell her that?" There was a pause. "That's up to you, Mrs. Sullivan. But if you want to see exactly how far she's willing to go, you could let her try." "And then what?" "Then we have her attempting to commit fraud. And that, Mrs. Sullivan, is a criminal offense." I made a decision that night. I would let Brittany show me who she really was. I would let her attempt to steal my house, and then I would show her that this burden of a mother still had teeth. The next morning, I went to the county clerk's office. I brought Mr. Chen with me. We waited in his car, watching the entrance. At 9:55 a.m., Brittany arrived with Trevor. At 10:15 a.m., they walked out with Donald and Patricia, all of them smiling. "She did it," I whispered. "She actually filed the paperwork." Mr. Chen nodded grimly. "She just committed fraud. Let's go inside and file our challenge." It took 30 minutes. The clerk pulled up the paperwork Brittany had filed, a deed transfer from me to Donald and Patricia Hartwell, with Brittany's signature as my power of attorney. "This power of attorney was revoked 43 days ago," Mr. Chen told the clerk, showing the documentation. "This transfer is invalid and constitutes attempted fraud." The clerk's eyes widened. "Oh my. Oh, this is... I'll need to notify my supervisor." Within an hour, the transfer was voided. Within 2 hours, I was sitting in the office of an assistant district attorney named Sarah Martinez. "Mrs. Sullivan," she said after reviewing my documentation, "I want you to understand something. What your daughter attempted is serious. This is elder financial abuse, and it's a felony in Texas. If you want to press charges, I'll prosecute, but you need to be sure. This will destroy your relationship with your daughter." "She already destroyed it," I said quietly, "when she called me a burden and tried to steal my father's house." "Then let's talk about your options." We talked for 2 hours. Ms. Martinez explained that I could file criminal charges, which might result in Brittany and Trevor facing felony convictions. Or I could use the threat of prosecution as leverage. "Leverage for what?" I asked. "To make sure this never happens again. To get restitution. To protect yourself." I thought about my grandchildren, Emma and Noah. I thought about them growing up knowing their mother was a convicted felon. And I thought about the fact that despite everything, part of me still loved the daughter I'd raised, even if I didn't recognize her anymore. "I want to confront them first," I said. "I want them to know what they've done. I want them to understand that they failed." Ms. Martinez smiled. "I think I can arrange that." Which brings me back to that day at the beach house, 3 weeks after Brittany's failed attempt to steal my property. The day she and Trevor told me I wasn't allowed there anymore. The day they thought they'd won. As I drove away from the beach house that day, my phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Chen. "Everything is in place. Are you ready?" I texted back, "Yes." Because while Brittany and Trevor thought they'd successfully transferred my property to Trevor's parents, what they didn't know was that the transfer documents were fakes, carefully prepared by Mr. Chen and approved by the district attorney's office. The real deed was still in my name. The $400,000 that Brittany and Trevor thought they'd received was actually a check from a dummy account that would bounce. And the closing they'd attended was an elaborate sting operation. Trevor's parents, Donald and Patricia, had no idea they were part of a fraud. They thought they'd legitimately purchased the beach house. They'd even wired $400,000 to an escrow account, a real escrow account that was being held pending investigation. And tomorrow they were all supposed to arrive at the beach house for their first family vacation in their new property. Except I would be there, with Mr. Chen, with Ms. Martinez, and with 2 police officers. That evening, I checked into a hotel near the beach house and met with Ms. Martinez one final time. "Mrs. Sullivan, you don't have to do this tomorrow," she said. "We have enough evidence to prosecute without the confrontation." "I need to see their faces," I said. "I need them to know that they didn't break me, that I'm not the burden they think I am." She nodded. "Then let's make sure they remember this moment for the rest of their lives." The next morning, I woke up at dawn and drove to the beach house, my beach house. I let myself in with my key and made coffee in the kitchen where my father had taught me to make Sunday pancakes. I sat on the back deck watching the sunrise over the water, and I thought about all the summers I'd spent here, all the memories, all the love this place had held. At 10 a.m., cars started arriving. First, Donald and Patricia's Lexus. Then, Brittany and Trevor's SUV. I heard car doors slamming, heard excited voices, heard Emma and Noah, my precious grandchildren who I hadn't seen in 2 months, squealing about the beach. Then I heard Trevor's key in the lock, heard the door open, heard him say, "Dad, Mom, welcome to your new beach house." I walked out of the kitchen into the living room. The silence was immediate and complete. "What the hell are you doing here?" Trevor finally said. "I live here," I replied calmly. "This is my house." Brittany's face went white. You can't be here. We told you." "You told me many things," I said. "Most of them were lies." Donald Hartwell stepped forward. "Mrs. Sullivan, I don't know what game you're playing, but we purchased this property fair and square. We have the deed. We paid $400,000. You need to leave, or I'll call the police." "Please do," I said. "I'll save you the trouble." I opened the front door. Standing on the porch were Mr. Chen, Ms. Martinez, and Officers Rodriguez and Thompson from the local police department. "What is this?" Brittany whispered. Miss Martinez walked in, badge visible. "I'm Assistant District Attorney Sarah Martinez. Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Sullivan, I need you to step outside with these officers." "There must be some mistake," Trevor said, but his voice was shaking. "We have documentation. You have fraudulent documentation," Mr. Chen said, stepping forward. "Mrs. Sullivan revoked the power of attorney you used 2 months before you attempted to transfer her property. Every document you filed, every signature you forged, every statement you made was part of an elaborate fraud scheme." Brittany's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard on the couch. No, we checked. The county clerk filed everything. It was legal." "You filed it," I said quietly. "But it was never legal, because I revoked that power of attorney 7 weeks before you tried to use it." Trevor's face was turning red. You knew? You knew and you let us—" "I let you show me who you really are," I said. "I let you prove that you were willing to steal from your own mother. I let you demonstrate that you valued money more than family, and now there are consequences." Ms. Martinez addressed the room. "Mr. and Mrs. Hartwell, you are victims of fraud perpetrated by your son and daughter-in-law. The $400,000 you wired to the escrow account will be returned to you. However, you should be aware that there may be civil liability issues we'll need to discuss." Patricia Hartwell was crying. "We didn't know. We thought it was all legitimate." "We believe you," Ms. Martinez said, "which is why you're not being charged. But your son and daughter-in-law face multiple felony counts: elder financial abuse, fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit theft." "You're arresting us?" Brittany's voice was a whisper. "Not today," Ms. Martinez said. "Today is about giving you a choice. Mrs. Bucky Sullivan has agreed not to press criminal charges on 3 conditions." Everyone waited. "First, you will sign a notarized statement acknowledging your attempted fraud, Second, you will pay restitution of $25,000 to cover your mother's legal fees and emotional damages. Third, you will sign an agreement never to contest your mother's will, never to challenge her estate, and never to claim any inheritance from her upon her death." "That's insane," Trevor said. "We're her family. We have rights." "You have no rights," Mr. Chen said coldly. "Not after what you tried to do. You attempted to steal a property worth $850,000 from an elderly woman. You emotionally abused her. You called her a burden. These are the most generous terms you're going to get." "And if we don't agree?" Brittany asked. "Then I file formal charges," Ms. Martinez said. "And you go to trial for multiple felonies, which means you both could be looking at 2 to 10 years in prison." I watched my daughter's face as she processed this, watched her look at Trevor, watched them both realize that they had lost. 24 hours, Ms. Martinez said. "You have 24 hours to decide. The paperwork will be sent to your home this afternoon." They signed. 2 days later, I received confirmation that the $25,000 had been deposited in my account. Along with the check came a handwritten note from Brittany. I almost didn't open it, but something made me. "Mom, I don't know how to apologize for what we did. Trevor and I have been under so much financial pressure. The house, the kids' school, his business. We convinced ourselves that you didn't need the beach house, that you'd be happier without it. We were wrong. We were terrible. I understand if you never forgive me. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But please know that somewhere under all this greed and entitlement, there's still the daughter who loved you. She's just been buried for a long time." B. I sat at my kitchen table in my little apartment and read that note 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and went for my morning walk with Ruth. "Did they sign?" she asked. "They signed. And how do you feel?" I thought about it. Empty, relieved, sad, vindicated, all of it at once. "Do you think you'll ever reconcile?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Right now, I can't imagine it. But someday? Maybe. For Emma and Noah's sake, if nothing else. They deserve to know their grandmother." "What about the beach house?" I smiled. "I'm keeping it, and when I die, it's going to a family trust that will benefit Emma and Noah directly. Brittany won't be able to touch it." 3 months have passed since that day. Brittany has called twice, awkward conversations where we talked about nothing important. Trevor hasn't contacted me at all. Donald and Patricia sent me a formal apology letter and a fruit basket, which felt ridiculous but also oddly touching. I've been to the beach house 6 times since then. Sometimes I go alone. Sometimes Ruth comes with me. Last week, I took Emma and Noah. Brittany let them come after I promised not to say anything about what happened. We built sandcastles and collected shells, and I taught them to make my father's famous Sunday pancakes. Emma, who's 9, asked me, "Grandma, why don't you and Mom talk much anymore?" I thought carefully about my answer. "Sometimes adults make mistakes that hurt the people they love. Your mom made some mistakes that hurt me. We're working on fixing things, but it takes time." "Do you still love her?" "Always," I said. And I meant it. Despite everything, despite the betrayal and the cruelty and the theft, part of me would always love the child I raised. I just couldn't trust her anymore. And maybe I never would again. Now I sit here, 72 years old, in my small apartment with my pension and my savings and my beach house and my dignity intact. I think about the woman I was 3 months ago, the woman who trusted blindly because she wanted to believe in family. And I think about the woman I am now, who learned that sometimes loving someone means protecting yourself from them. I've joined a support group for victims of elder financial abuse. There are 12 of us, ranging in age from 65 to 83. We meet every Tuesday at the community center. Every one of us has a story about a child or grandchild or caregiver who tried to steal from us. Some of them succeeded. Some of them, like me, fought back. Last week, a woman named Florence told us about her son who emptied her bank account and left her homeless. She was living in her car when a social worker found her. "I still love him," she said through tears. "How sick is that? He destroyed my life, and I still love him." "It's not sick," I told her. "It's human. We're wired to love our children, even when they don't deserve it. But love doesn't mean we have to let them hurt us." The women in that group are my new family now, along with Ruth and Mr. Chen and even Miss Martinez, who checks in on me once a month just to make sure you're okay. Would you have forgiven them? Or would you have stood your ground like I did? Sometimes I wonder if younger people understand what it's like to be treated as invisible in your own family, to be called a burden by the child you sacrificed everything for, to have your life's work and your father's legacy stolen by people who are supposed to love you. I don't have all the answers. I don't know if Brittany and I will ever have a real relationship again. I don't know if Trevor will ever feel genuine remorse. I don't know if Emma and Noah will grow up understanding that sometimes protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. What I do know is this: I am not a burden. I am not invisible. I am not just someone's elderly mother who can be pushed aside and forgotten. I am Evelyn Marie Sullivan, daughter of Robert and Catherine, mother of Brittany, grandmother of Emma and Noah. I am a woman who worked 2 jobs for 20 years, who kept her father's house for 40 years, who stood up for herself when everyone told her she was too old to matter. And if that makes me stubborn, if that makes me difficult, if that makes me unforgiving, well, I've earned the right to be all those things. The beach house is still mine. My dignity is still mine. My life is still mine. And no one, not my daughter, not my son-in-law, not anyone, will ever take that away from me again.